Hello and welcome to the gallery. My name is Jon, and today we are continuing our paint job of Cursed City. Well, we've painted a few undeads up until this point. Now let's continue with the theme. We are still running through the chaff of the entire model line, so now we are painting Gorslav the Gravekeeper and the zombie horde that is following him. This is all pretty much the same paint job. I'm adding a few colors for the actual Gravekeeper because he's got a few nuances that the other models don't have, but other than that, it's a nice thing to paint these up as one batch, in my opinion. Before we start, I would like to mention all the stuff there underneath, the like, the share, and the subscribe button, and everything like that. And of course my Patreon, I would recommend you might want to check that out. Also, I have an Amazon affiliate store, where hopefully there might be a few things of interest that you might want to look into purchasing. I will get a small kickback for directing you there, at no extra cost to you, of course. But since all the YouTube protocols have been followed, let's jump into the paint job of the damn things. Okay, let's start painting these undead monstrosities. We're painting both the Gravekeeper and the zombies at the same time because they're sharing a lot of the colors. We're starting from the cenotaph that is linked in the upper right hand corner here, and we are starting with Plague Bearer's Flesh contrast paint. We will be painting this over the entirety of the skin of the zombies. The actual Gravekeeper will get a slightly different tone to him because he's still sort of alive. Well, I'm not really sure where to put it. However, over this cenotaph, because it's got quite harsh lighting and it's a very interesting tone, the contrast paints will look quite nice. Now for his skin, we're going for something completely different. We're mixing a third of Skeleton Horde, a third of Magus Purple, and a third of contrast medium. So we get this decapitated skin tone. It's almost dead. It has this little hint of a purple hue to it, and it's quite on the thin side. It's a nice look that I've decided to go for, and I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. Now for the clothing of the zombies, we're using mainly Rattling Grime. However, for the actual Gravekeeper, we're putting Rattling Grime just on the under tunic skirt thing that he has, because if it would be the entirety of it, it would be a little bit too much, and we don't want to go overboard with this color because it's on the dark side, and we are going for a slightly more comic-y look, or thereabouts, similar to what we've done already. Now for his upper torso loincloth cloak dress thing, I'm using snakebite leather. It's a little bit of a warmer tone, and it mixes well between the brown tone of his underskirt and the skin tone above. Just be careful when you're painting the Rattling Grime underneath to not go too far into the overskirt, because that's a darker color and contrast is unforgiving in that regard. Now for the hair of the zombies and a little bit of extra cloth bits here and there, I'm using the Militarum green contrast paint, and it works well. It's similar, a little bit darker, so it feels like it fits together. We will also be using this contrast paint on the grass stilts that are on top of them and everything like that. Now for all the wood pieces, I'm using wildwood because I've used it before in this line, and I want to keep a general theme going. For all the wood pieces, both the branches, the roots that are coming through the zombies, and on top of the, caskets and the caskets themselves, I'm using this wildwood paint just to have some sort of simple feel. And I'm not using many colors. It's just a few contrast paints here and there, and we'll be following up with a little bit of metallics. Now for his actual shovel, that's the same paint. Basically keep the theme going. For all the candles, for various cloth bits, the belts and stuff like that, and also all the bone, I'm just putting on a little bit of the Skeleton Horde. It's a nice color and it works well for it. The main part of bones is on the actual Gravekeeper because he's got this, I'm not going to say lovely headdress, but a headdress, and of course the skulls on the back thing, but go through all the models. They got bones and skulls here and there, just lying around. For all the rock, or I decided these be rock, they don't really look like rock, they seem to be nailed to a wooden plank, but I went for rock anyway, just to keep the color going. I use basilicanum gray. The reason for this is because in previous videos, when I'm using something on rock, I'm using basilicanum gray, and we're keeping the same color going. For all the lovely little flowers, Maker's Purple was quite good. It's a muted pink color, and it felt kind of sickly and undeady, so it was perfect for all the flower bits that are on some of the tombstones, and some of the actual markers as well. Now for the ground, I'm putting some Space Wolves Grey, and I'm keeping the paint job just in the bottom corner of the screen so you can barely see it, and then just moving it out of shot so you don't see how horrible it looks. However, on the actual Gravekeeper, I kept that in shot so you can see what I was doing here. Now this is a little bit blue and it looks a little bit weird, but the base is also painted with this hint of tone to it. That's the reason why I'm using it on the ground pieces that are sticking out of the base, just to darken it down a little bit so it fits more with the base. A little dollop of Agrex Earthshade over all that Space Wolves blue thing, which wasn't really working just on its own. We're fixing as we're painting, and this seemed to work pretty nice for this pale dead ground that I have going here. For the metallic bits, I'm not inventing the wheel. It's lead belcher for everything that I want to look silver or steel or something like that. It's a darker metallic color than the regular silver I use, and I've mentioned quite often, and therefore it's perfect for this kind of stuff. However, I will be mixing it with a little bit of Retributor armor, just here and there, a few dollops, just to break up the monotony of the silver. A little bit on this guy and a little bit on the zombies here and there. For his face mask, I decided to have that also in the gold color, just because he's regal as and that seems to work pretty darned well. For all the metallic bits after they have dried, Basilicanum Gray 50-50 mixed with contrast medium, just brush that over, be careful it doesn't pull where you don't want it to pull, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and these guys are ready. Like I said, it was a simple enough paint job that we were going for, mainly contrast, a little bit of extra here and there, but mostly just contrast over the zenithal. Now let's take a look at what it looks like in the grand reveal shots. And after a fairly quick paint job, we have them ready. The Gravekeeper and his disgusting yet oddly charming undead horde. Thank you very much for joining me here today. There are links in the description for all kinds of stuff, social media, the Amazon store, and various tidbits. You do with it what you will. Like, share, subscribe, hit that little bell notification icon thingy, and let the colors flow. But until next time, farewell.